Hey, today I want to talk about exercise, but running in particular. Since I started in about May, I've reached 33 runs and the results have just been tremendous and amazing. I've gotten fitter, faster, I feel stronger, my legs definitely look more toned, and I even noticed a difference in my skin, but this video is not about that. If you stick to any sort of an exercise regimen for 30 days, and I didn't run consecutively like every single day, but I still was consistent, right? And I think that if you do anything for 30 days consistently, especially an exercise regimen, you will notice differences. You're gonna feel fitter, stronger, you're just gonna feel better, and you might even notice a difference in your skin. This video is not about that. There's many videos on YouTube speaking about that. This video is actually about the unexpected benefits that I got after 30 days of running. So I actually noticed 3 unexpected benefits that I derived from running after 30 days. It actually didn't take me 30 days to recognize these things. I actually noticed some of them from even day 1 or the first week, and it just kind of got stronger as the days went by. And the first thing that I noticed was in regards to my diet. So I do a lot of research on, man, what does this actual scientific literature, what does the actual research say is the best diet for mankind, you know? And I follow a whole foods, plant-based, quote-unquote, vegan diet. And I know that, you know, antioxidant-rich, polyphenol-rich foods, you know, polydigested grains, vegetables, fruits, dark leafy greens. Like, I know these things theoretically are good for you, you know? But did I actually do them though? And I actually kind of felt like a lot of them were like, not really like a chore, but like I'd have to remind myself like, all right, like I gotta incorporate these things into my diet, but it wasn't natural, you know? But when I began to run and exercise consistently, I'd actually begin to crave the foods that I knew were good for me. I think that this is powerful because a lot of times we tell ourselves or tell others, hey, eat this, this is good for you, right? And we know that theoretically, but we actually don't have the motivation. And I think that the motivation is almost as, or if not more important than just simply knowing the theory. And so I know the theory, but what running did was it gave me the motivation. I actually began to catch this. I actually began to crave the things that I knew were good for me. A lot of times people think, you know, oh man, I gotta exercise and I gotta start eating better. And it just seems like this insurmountable mountain, but really if you just kind of break it down into its smaller parts or its smaller units, and you focus on one thing, man, if you were to just say, I'm just going to exercise, you would notice that the things that you already know to do, like drinking more water, eating more fruits and vegetables, you know, laying back off of some of the foods that, you know, are high in saturated fat and low in fiber, you would actually begin to crave those things simply by exercising, you know? And so for me, I think that exercise and running did that for me. And it also was a blessing because even though I'm quote-unquote vegan, I would still eat a lot of like chips and bars and just kind of classified vegan junk food, you know? But as I would crave the good food, my cravings for the bad food completely vanished. Like literally, I would not want it. Like I wouldn't even buy it. I'd say, man, I'm gonna buy this and just gonna sit down. Like there's a bag of chips, you know, on my table, and it literally stayed there for like a month. And usually, like I would smash, but now it's like, no, I sincerely don't want that. Running will inspire me to do the things that I know to do are good for me, you know. And I think that's definitely worth giving it a shot. The second thing I noticed was just around my thoughts. I just noticed that my thoughts became so clear. This is actually interesting because I think that on a global sort of wide scale, there's a lot of craziness happening, the pandemic, racial tension, but also I've been experiencing a lot of craziness on a micro sort of personal scale, you know? And so I felt like there's just like a lot of like tension and stress around me that I was trying to navigate, and my thoughts kind of felt muffled and I felt kind of just in my head, in my feelings all the time. And as I ran, I would notice that my thoughts would just get clearer, you know? Like if I felt confused about a particular thing, I would just get clarity. If I felt confused as to a particular decision to make, you know, I was able to just like approach that decision with more sort of sense, you know what I mean? And less sort of like emotion and just whatever, and just really think through things sort of practically. To me, I think that running actually cleared my mind. I actually think it cleared my mind, you know, and it actually helped give me resolve for the decisions that I made. And so sometimes, like, if I decide, like, okay, cool, I need to make this decision. Like, if I made that decision, then what running would then help me do it was give me resolve to make that decision. Like, you know what? Like, this is the decision to make, kind of a thing, you know? And so it's like, on one hand, it helped me make decisions. If I had already made decisions, it helped me get resolved. Like it helped me actually commit to those decisions. Even those two benefits are a blessing, but there's one more benefit that I really think is associated with this, but needs a separate category on its own. The last and final thing I want to speak about is just the fact that I felt such at ease and at peace while I ran. I'm not experiencing clinical anxiety and depression, but I think that any single person, man, living in 2020, with all this craziness happening, both on a global and on a personal scale, on macro, pandemic, racial tension scales, but also micro scales, like in your own household, in your own personal lives. Like every single person living today must know and understand how to navigate their own mental health, And so for me, I definitely had to learn how to navigate low motivation, low moods, that sort of a thing, on the cusp of feeling kind of like, not depressed, I don't even like that word, you see what I'm saying? Because I wasn't that, but I was definitely experiencing having to navigate those things, And I think that by far that one of the best things for me was when I exercised, was when I ran, I'd run a lot in nature, and sometimes even just like when I'd run in nature, I'd listen to a podcast or music, and sometimes like even through a song, like I would literally just like lift up my hands in prayer and just be at peace that God, like you're working out my story, you're working out my situation, I'll trust you, Lord, revive me, Lord, bring me back to life, like just literally, and I just felt at peace, and I almost had confidence that God was hearing my prayer, and that I was being revived. We typically think of exercise as something that's good for the body, but really and truly, man, like exercise is amazing for the mind and even for the emotion, And so I really just want to harp on this point and show one research study that elaborates on this idea, because so far I've been speaking about my personal experience, but I want to show you guys actual scientific literature, like research that actually backs and confirms these sort of unexpected benefits that I've been experiencing. Yeah, so I just want to pull up the study real quick. You notice this study right here. It's quoted a lot. It's pretty popular, referenced, cited a lot, and so yeah, it's called "Exercise Promotes the Expression of Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor." Now, I think that's interesting. Literally just breaking down that name, because that name may seem complex to people, but brain-derived neurotrophic factor is increased in your brain through exercise. Now, what is this thing? BDNF, right? Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, a factor is just like a protein or something, just like a molecule, just really breaking it down to its rudimentary parts. It's just a molecule that does something, right? And so this factor, this protein, is neurotrophic. Now, what does the word trophic mean? The word trophic means that it's related to feeding and nutrition. And so if this factor is neurotrophic, that it means that it feeds and nourishes your neurons. It feeds and nourishes your brain, and it's literally created in your brain as you exercise. Like, how powerful and loaded is that? Even in a simple explanation. The abstract is sort of like a summary of the research that they performed, right? And watch what it says. It says exercise induces beneficial responses in the brain, which is accompanied by an increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor. A trophic factor associated with, watch this, cognitive improvement and the alleviation of depression and anxiety. Now, cognitive improvement, that's not just like, that's why like I was thinking better thoughts. That's why I was getting better ideas. That's why I was getting resolve and able to really just make those decisions and stick to them. But in addition, like there's been studies done that show that, students that exercise even before school or just exercise in general do better than their controlled counterparts that don't exercise, And so exercise has this sort of cognitive, it gives you this sort of a cognitive advantage. But I'm not even talking about that right now. I'm talking about a time in my life where I really have to hone on the things that really fill my emotional mental health buckets, especially personally, but also in a bigger sort of wider sense. And I think that the fact that exercise through inducing more production of BDNF can actually alleviate depression and anxiety, I think that there's really some use for that, right? There's really some use for us to consider. Man, exercise is deeper than just looking good, feeling good, smelling good, taking selfies in the mirror, but just like really good for your mind. And I would even say it's better for your mind than it is for your body, but it's just good for both. And so I'm gonna give you some tips on how you can start running and stay running consistently. Please stay for these tips. I think you'll find them really beneficial. So I'm actually gonna go for a run and actually on the run give the tips at different intervals. Thanks for watching this video if you've watched this far. Hopefully running can be to you what it was to me. Alright guys, so we just finished the first kilometer. And the first tip is make running therapy. So if you tell yourself it's just for physical fitness, you might not be consistent. But if you say, hey, no, running is my time to de-stress, like running is scientifically proven to allow me to de-stress and to feel at ease, man, the first tip would definitely be to make running therapy. Let's get that next K. Whew. Honestly guys, my second tip is run in nature. And while you run in nature, pray. Man, run in nature and pray. Like, look at this. Like, look at this. Whew. Like, let's go. Run in nature, it's good. Fresh air, good for your lungs, good for your blood, but also just good for de-stressing. Find a trail, find a path, run in nature. That's my second tip. Third tip, measure your runs. Everything with objective and everything with measurements. I think that, you know, from the day I downloaded the Nike Plus Run Club app, like I've been so motivated to just like see my runs on the map, you know, and it's been so encouraging. A lot of people think that motivation is something that like it sparks you to do what you need to do, but that's actually not what motivation is. That's a myth of motivation. Motivation is when you start something, you get motivation to continue doing it. And so Nike Plus Run Club, that app, or just any app that measures your runs, really just helps you say, man, I've come a long way, or at least I started, and you almost want to see the rest of the chart fold out, you know? And so that third tip is to measure your runs, everything with measurement and objective. You'll see yourself getting faster, and this will be motivating, you know? And also, in addition to measuring your runs, don't run long. You don't have to run 12K. Like, I'm not trying to go to the Olympics. I'm not trying to be whatever. Like, just run. You know, I run 4.5 kilometers every day. Yeah, I run sometimes 12K, whatever, but my consistent bread and butter daily runs is just 4.5 kilometers, 20 minutes, that's it. That's it. And so because it's only 20 minutes, when I see it, I'm just like, man, 20 minutes out of my day, watch a stupid YouTube video, waste time, or go out and run and feel better. Go out and run and feel better. And so measure your runs and don't run long. Third tip. My next tip, guys, is honestly craft a new identity. You don't have to run any certain amount of kilometers or have any type of a gear to consider yourself a runner. No, just craft the type of identity where, yeah, you might not be a runner or whatever you want to call yourself, but tell yourself, man, I'm the type of person that doesn't miss a run. Even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 1 kilometer, like I'm that type of a person. So craft this new identity, and associated with this new identity, man, inspire others. So carry others in the journey. You know, like from I've been running, I've been inspiring my other friends, like people that would not even desire to run. I'm like, yo, download this app and run, you know, and I've actually seen people do it. And so craft this new identity and bring others on this journey. Bonus tip for you guys. Thanks for watching this video. Yeah, as painful as it may be during the time, it doesn't have to be painful, but if you're a go-getter and you know you feel like you want to get it, ride the wings of motivation. When you come home, do exercises. You know, you don't have to, but do exercises, do some planks, do some abs, do some leg exercises, and just ride the wings of motivation. And always know, man, no matter how hard it might be, there will be an ending, you know? Just persist, persevere, push through, and there will be an ending. Let's go. Let's get this. I hope this video is a blessing to you. And yeah, once again, thanks for watching. God bless.